I'm your host, Damian Abraham, and today on the show, not one, but two Canadian punk rock legends from arguably the greatest Canadian punk band ever, SNFU. The Belke Bros are on the show today. Muc and Bunnt, a.k.a. Marc and Brent, are here to talk about, and no one else wanted to play, the reissue that Trust Records has just put out. This thing is spectacular, a reissue befitting of such a record of importance. Very happy to be working with Trust on some stuff for this. These guys would be on this podcast anyway, so don't worry, this is not an ad for anything, but a genuine expression of how much I love this record and this band. And this thing's like 3 albums in it, like triple box set type thing. Actually, the box sets might all be sold out right now. You should head over to trustrecords.com right now and pick up any of these reissues before they all sell out, because as we all saw with the Ink and Dagger stuff, these things sell out very quickly over there at Trust, and then there will be a retail edition of this down the road. But this thing is gorgeous, great booklet full of incredible archival photos of this band that not only were they great on record, they are the greatest live band. Like, I would put them just below maybe the Bad Brains in terms of like great live 80s hardcore bands, or the greatest live 80s hardcore bands. I could go on forever. I saw them. And the episode I actually screw up, and I didn't see them at the Warped Tour. I did see them at the Warped Tour first, but then at Snow Jam when I saw them, that's a show that stands out in my memory forever. Couple quick notes: Bill Price and Chris Thomas, of course, produced the Sex Pistols record. We talk about that in a little bit, and there's some confusion on that. Also, check out the Rake Records YouTube channel that Marc Belke runs. You can find all sorts of incredible concert footage that they have put up there of SNFU over the years, and he's putting up more and more as the days go on, and God, they're a great live band. There's going to be a celebration of SNFU and then an exhibition of SNFU by our good friends over there at the Punk Museum. Melanie Kay, former guest of the show, friend of the show, has put together this incredible day of SNFU that's going to be going down this Friday. There's going to be a roundtable discussion featuring the Belke brothers and Joe from Trust Records and Ty Stranglehold. And there's going to be a performance as well that's been announced. I didn't know if that was secret, but I'm pretty sure it's been announced. That's going to be happening there, which is, I wish I got a lot of FOMO about not being there for this thing. And premiere of a mini documentary that I may or may not have been involved in a little bit, but that you got to be there. If you're anywhere near the Las Vegas area, head over to the Punk Museum this Friday and get a tour. Get a tour from the Belke brothers. They're going to be there this weekend giving tours as well. And I can't say enough good things. You can go check that out at thepunkmuseum.com. We'll have links to all this stuff, of course, in the description. And that's it. I'm not going to ramble on anymore. Sit back, relax, and enjoy Brent and Marc Belke on Turned Out a Punk. Brent, Marc, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
I was thinking today, as I was looking through your discography, I think you guys might have, like, that initial run of records might be like the 11 greatest sort of like Canadian records in a row. Like, I don't know if anyone, maybe Sloan, maybe Rush, can touch that many good records in a row. You know, like there's Teenage Head. I go deep with the Teenage Head catalog. I go deep with the DOA catalog, but I feel like you guys kind of have the greatest run out of anyone.
What can I say?
That's quite a compliment. You know, yeah. Thanks for saying it. I don't know.
Who are Rush?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say every day. But we are not here to talk about Rush. We're here to talk about SNFU. And I figure you guys probably got into punk around the same time. So I'm going to put it to both of you. Brent, Marc, how'd you guys get into punk? Do you remember the first time you ever came across it?
Brent? Yeah.
Well, you know, when I was younger, I'd heard about punk, you know, on CBC News, Sid Vicious and all this crazy stuff. But I remember the very first time I heard Holiday in the Sun by the Sex Pistols, it was just like, this friend of ours, a guy who just moved to the neighborhood, bought a compilation tape over, and it had all kinds of different stuff on it. But when that song came on, it was just like, what? This is punk rock? I thought punk rock was terrible and shitty. This is punk rock? Like it just instantly was like, that's so amazing. So it was a total eye opener.
Yeah, and I remember borrowing that cassette. We're like, oh, can we borrow the cassette? And then we like wanted to share it with our friends and played it for our friends, and they were sort of blank expressions on their faces.
Right, this is awesome. Yeah, and they were just sitting there going, "You actually like this?" And we're like, "What do you mean? It's fucking amazing!" And yeah, it was kind of that was the rude awakening that this is punk rock. It's amazing. Like maybe it's not what everyone's cup of tea, right?
Well, there's like, it's such a weird thing, and I find it to this day that like when someone hears it for the first time, they either get it or they don't. And like,
Yeah,
that Sex Pistols record, it's like at this point classic rock, but there's still something about it that just turns some people off completely as soon as they hear it.
That's the one record when people ask what's the perfect album. That's the one album. It's like I literally would never skip over a song. Like even with the Clash, some of the Clash records, which I totally loved, there's certain songs I would skip over, but I'd put the needle on the Sex Pistols record and you listen to it through the whole thing. And the production is incredible, and the attitude, it's sort of a perfect album to me.
yeah. And, you know, as I got further into punk rock, I rarely listened to the Sex Pistols because it was, you know, I moved on to other things. But whenever that album came on, it's like, wow, yeah, your first love, I guess, right?
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on the Clash thing. Like, I like the Clash a lot, love the Clash, but there's a perfection to that album that could only happen at that time and place.
Yeah, yeah.
And from back to front, it all fits together. Like,
yeah, like the running order and everything. It's so good, right?
And the production, like you're saying, it's like a really thick, heavy sounding record. And like, would it have been as monumental if it had been those production on that like early demos that you kind of hear now, like the Chris Spedding tapes and all that kind of stuff, which sound great. The songs are all there, but like it doesn't have that crunch that that LP has.
Yeah. And I'm sure that who produced it? Chris Spedding produced it, didn't he? The album?
I thought Chris Spedding only did the demos before that.
Oh,
maybe I'm mistaken.
I might be mistaken too, but I've seen videos on YouTube with the guy mixing it, and he sort of talks about the production, and it's sort of documented about the production of the record, how they had the two reverb amps facing each other, and they did something so they weren't out of phase and all this. But I'm sure millions of people have tried to replicate those tones, the guitar tones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you mentioned seeing it on CBC, like the media reports about it, had you seen that clip of like the Vile Tones Teenage Head in the Polls in Toronto?
No, it was like when we were kids, CBC radio was on almost all the time. So just hearing it on the radio, but never actually saw. Like I thought punk rock was maybe like Donny Osmond, like bubblegum rock, because everyone hated it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought it was something like that, and I'd heard, you know, Sid. It's probably what, like when Sid Vicious was arrested, because I remember it was around Christmas time hearing about Sid Vicious. So it was probably when he was arrested just before he died, and so I heard about it. But yeah, but never saw any clips, right? Yeah.
What kind of music were you guys into prior to hearing punk rock?
Oh, top 40. We listened to like top 40 radio and whatever albums that my brother brought home. We had 3 older brothers, and our second oldest brother, Chris, would buy albums all the time. He had a like nice stereo, and, you know, like threatened us to stay out of his room if we ever touched his shit. So at lunchtime, we'd come home from school at lunchtime and we'd put the records on, and then we'd take them off and put them back in the sleeve and put it right back to where it was, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so whatever he was bringing home, and it was like sort of typical FM classic rock radio stuff like Supertramp, and Elton John was really liked Elton John, and Kiss, and then he started buying a few punk rock records, and I remember playing a lot of air guitar at home at lunchtime.
Yeah, and he had a few. Well, actually, I think he actually didn't have them, but he borrowed them from his friends, like Yes and some prog stuff. But I don't even think he even liked it. That did not stick. Yeah. It was like Sweet. I remember Sweet and Kiss and all that stuff. Right. Yeah.
Desolation Boulevard was a big album.
Would he have been of the age of the guys in like the Nerve and sort of like that first wave of Edmonton punk bands?
Well, when we got into punk rock, and actually our brother Chris too, there was post the Nerve, PJ Burton and the Smarties. Our brother Chris saw the Smarties, and then we after that saw the Smarties. Remember, they played at the university, it's a ballroom, and then we saw them at a disco downtown. That might be one of the first times we met Chai was the Smarties playing. And they were a cover band, right? But they played all the new wave punk covers, and it was fucking awesome. It was so great, like because you first get
But
into punk.
everybody hated them though.
Well, shortly thereafter, yeah, after that. But I remember seeing a couple of times, and then when they opened for 999 and they got booed off the stage,
Yeah.
and we jumped on that boat, and they're done. See you guys later. Moving on. Thanks for the introduction. Bye-bye.
But I think it was just sort of like the love to hate thing, it's just like it was sort of fun to do to hate
Well,
on.
you know what? But also they opened for 999 because the Dickies,
Yeah.
the Dickies couldn't get across the border, and I really wanted to see the Dickies because I got on the because we had that record. But yeah, so the Dickies canceled. The Smarties opened, got booed off the stage. I'm sorry. They're awesome guys, but yeah, it was just bad time. It was the wrong place, wrong time for them at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting when that kind of happens, like the wave shifts and there's like and everyone kind of turns on that last wave. And it happens all the time in punk.
Yeah.
What were some of the first bands you guys remember seeing live? Like were you guys going to see like Modern Minds and Rock and Roll Bitches and those bands?
The Smarties first, and then after that we went to the Modern Minds, Diefenbakers, Rock and Roll Bitches, Joey Did, which turned into Junior Gone, or the Malibu Kens, Junior Gone Wild. So Joey Did was the first band with Mike. What other bands are around?
Blank Generation.
Oh yeah, Blank Generation. Who actually did
Calgary bands like the Sturgeons, who became Ride 303. And it's basically whatever came to Edmonton because there wasn't a ton of shows, right? So anything that showed up or anybody that was on tour, you would just go and check it out. Local bands, the Diefenbakers as well. And whatever was playing.
Yeah.
What about the Hot Nasties? Did you guys ever see them?
Never. I had the Hot Nasty 7-inch, but I never got to see them.
Yeah. I think they ended just before, like we just missed out on that one. Yeah.
We were probably grounded that week that they played.
Yeah.
We had this continual run where we would sneak out to go to punk rock shows and then we'd get grounded for 1 week. And then the next week we'd go out, or the 2 weeks after we'd go out again and go to another show and come home late without calling and get grounded again for another week.
So we went to punk rock every second weekend. Another weekend we were sitting at home watching Hockey Night in Canada.
Yeah. It was a good run. Incredible run.
That's awesome.
And our friends were like, just don't listen to your parents, just go out. And we were like, I don't know, we'll just, we kind of respected their rules to some degree, I guess.
When Moe Berg was on, he talked about how Edmonton's kind of a pretty tough town. And it certainly was kind of rough for punk rockers. Like punk rockers would get kind of fucked with routinely. Did you guys kind of see that?
Oh yeah. It was common if you had a mohawk or you sort of stood out any sort of fashion wise with like a studded jacket or something like that, you could easily get your ass kicked on the bus.
I wouldn't even take that much. It wouldn't even be a mohawk, even if you were just slightly, pretty low, very low tolerance for anything different for sure.
Yeah. And it wasn't rampant like it wasn't no matter where you went, but it was common. It was common. Like once a month, someone would be getting their butt kicked for being a punk rocker. It's pretty dangerous.
Well, I remember the Urban Surfers were playing a show at some weird kind of place. But anyway, when Evan played in the Urban Surfers, we went to go see them. They played a set. He went for a walk, came back to play the second set, and he was all beat up. Yep. He was he's like, oh, some guys just jumped me. He was like, okay. He got behind the drum kit and did the second set though.
Did that spill over to the punk scene at all, or was the punk scene pretty peaceful for the most part?
Punk scene was pretty peaceful.
Yeah. definitely.
I have heard legend from a couple people that the Rock and Roll Bitches, Bruce McCullough, and Callum Keith Rennie were a bit of a terror at the time at shows. And I heard this from Bruce McCullough, so I don't think I'm speaking out of school when I say that.
Was Bruce McCullough from Edmonton?
He was from Calgary, but he moved up for a couple years.
Really? Because I never knew him from Edmonton.
He probably went to shows that we went to. I read the book. What's the book? The Young Drunk Punk?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was surprised. I was like, wow, he was in Edmonton for quite a bit, in those formative years. But yeah, we didn't know him at all, unfortunately.
And Callum, I met Callum Rene because our girlfriends were friends for a while. But that was quite a ways after, like, I don't know when it would have been, but it was sort of like, I did meet him, but not at punk rock shows.
It's interesting when you look at like the amount of records that were kind of coming out of Edmonton at the time. It's kind of like, after sort of Toronto and maybe even rivaling Toronto in terms of the amount of records that are coming out. Obviously, Vancouver's got a shit ton of records coming out, but like Edmonton is such a vibrant scene and such a huge scene, at least in terms of output, really early on, it seems.
Maybe. I think we were I don't think it was prolific as Vancouver or Toronto for sure, just because their cities are much bigger. But I don't know what to say to that. Like,
it doesn't seem like a lot, like just like before we started doing our thing, like there's a Malibu Ken single, like, and Modern Mind. Seems like every band did 1 7-inch. Malibu Kens,
Rock and Roll Bitches,
Rock and Roll Bitches, and actually Blank Generation did a 12-inch.
Yeah,
which was that was unusual. Yeah,
that one's still relatively inexpensive to pick up compared to those 7-inches. Those 7-inches are crazy collectible now in terms of. But there's also it came from Interspace Comp, and then there's the Jerry LP, and then there's I know I'm forgetting a couple more. Euthanasia, I guess, is later. Down syndrome's later as well. But like there was just sort of like this, all of them are killer. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's why I look at them as
and maybe it's the band stuck around. Like Jerry had a long run of albums and stuff. So started at Edmonton, right?
And then they moved to Montreal, right? I think Jerry eventually.
Yeah.
And then they got real good.
And it's kind of a super group too of people from various bands. At least that first LP's got people from every band, it seems.
Oh yeah, like Mike from Junior Gone Wild.
George from Rock and Roll Bitches is on it too. Moe Berg's on it, I think.
And Jim Alge joined the band, and Ed Dobeck played in like the second incarnation of the band. It was like an all-star Edmonton band.
Well, and I think live Katie Lang would be on. I'm sure was on stage with him at some point.
Well, you mentioned Ed Dobeck, which I guess he's the original drummer, right, of Live Sex Shows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, you know about that one, huh? Okay.
Well, believe me, this is going to get pretty nerdy. I think I got a lot of questions. I actually took questions from friends too, because I had a lot of friends that wanted me to ask you guys questions as well.
Well, Ed Dobeck's actually a pretty legendary guy. Like he was right there in the beginning of the scene, drummer, but super musical and very talented, could like write songs. He played with the Malibu Kens, who became Junior Gone Wild. And he later played drums for Jerry. He played band and drums for another band with us called the Wheat Chiefs. And my favorite Ed Dobeck story from when he was with the Wheat Chiefs, we were doing a small tour where we went out east and came back home, like 2-week tour, 3 weeks maybe. And we went to pick him up, and he came out with a plastic bag with a toothbrush and a t-shirt. That's it for the whole tour.
Yeah. And people say he was so difficult to get along with, and we're like, how easy going can you get? The guy shows up, and we're like,
never complained the whole trip. Like you'd think, okay, this is going to be a problem, but it was not a problem. That's how he rolled.
He knew what he needed, and that's it.
Yeah.
What was his line? He was like, the floor is my mattress, my belly's a blanket.
Yeah. And super talented, like really musically inclined, and kind of a legend.
What was that other Bing Jesus?
Yeah.
Then there's Bing Jesus. That was a one-off band with. Did you play drums in the band, Mark?
In Bing Jesus?
and Ed sang. He just wrote a bunch of songs, and he sat in an easy chair. It's supposed to be like Bing Crosby, and sat in an easy chair and strummed a guitar. You played drums, right, in Big Jesus?
Yes, I played drums in Big Jesus, and I remember we were covering like songs. I remember we played "Do the Strand" by Roxy Music, which I'd never heard, and never like tried to hear what it sounded like. I just played what they're playing, and then years later hearing it and going, "Oh yeah, that's how that song goes." I get it now. I get it.
Oh, forgot about Big Jesus.
What about Lethbridge PIL?
Oh yeah.
There were like a bunch of one-off bands, right? Or like a bunch of bands would play shows under different names and play different sets. Because I remember reading about a Malibu Kens, like another name Malibu Kens went under for like a one-off show too, at some point.
Fuck
Almost like-
bands. People call them fuck bands.
Well, we had a band called the Rock'em Sock'em Robots. We did one show, right? It was yeah.
I was going to ask you, it's like the fuck bands from Vancouver, right? Because Vancouver had those fuck bands on the Bud Luxford comp.
Yeah, tons of them. It was very common, and that's probably what inspired everyone in Edmonton to do it. Because we fondly looked at the whole Vancouver scene and anything that went out there.
So how did live sex shows come together? Like you mentioned meeting Chai for the first time. Was it just like people you'd kind of met through skateboarding and through the scene?
Well, the neighborhood friend who played us the Sex Pistols, Phil, he played bass, and we were just excited. We loved music, and we were, excited about punk rock and wanted to make a band. It was like, it's part of the punk rock ethos, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you don't know how to play. It's more important that you just get up and try to play. So we didn't think it was that hard. And truly, when you're learning guitar and you learn like an E bar chord and A bar chord, it unlocks the whole Ramones catalog, and you sort of feel like, oh, I got this figured out. And you're sort of channeling that punk rock spirit. So it's sort of exciting. And like I said, we love music. So, nothing we wanted to do more than grab a guitar or learn how to play drums or anything like that.
And so what was live sex shows like? Was it similar to the early SNFU stuff, or is it kind of a different?
I think live sex shows could be, I've never thought about it, could be the first hardcore band because live sex shows did Nervous Breakdown and Beverly Hills Circle Jerks.
UK Subs songs.
Yeah. So you guys, it might have been the first hardcore band, really. I always thought SNFU was the first. No, but actually live sex shows was definitely the precursor that when the whole hardcore thing started. Live sex shows were the premiere in Edmonton.
Brent was a singer for live sex shows too.
The very first show, I sang 4 songs, and Chai sang 6 songs.
Yeah,
and then after the show was like, they're gonna break it to me that they didn't want me that Chai was gonna be the full-time singer, and I was like, yeah, I quit. You guys, yeah. It was yeah.
So what was the first show for live sex shows?
Val's pool party. A friend's pool party.
That's awesome.
No, wasn't it a Spartans?
I thought it was Val's pool party was the first one.
And
I could be wrong.
Were there other like younger bands around that time that you guys are kind of forming? Is there like kind of like a wave of kids that have kind of gotten into it after that first wave?
Well, we were young kids at that point, and then then after, like, there was that one show, was it in 80, the Thrash and Burn show, which was SNFU, Down Syndrome, and Big Jesus, and that was sort of the start of the next wave, like after the Modern Minds, and that was like when SNFU and Down Syndrome, and then after that Euthanasia, it was sort of like a whole scene started at that point. Was that 82 Thrash and Burn?
Yeah, something like that. 81 or 82.
Yeah.
It's interesting because that period is like Moe talked about it when the hardcore kind of came in, and he was just like not into hardcore and kind of like stopped going to as many shows. And then he talked about coming back and seeing you guys and how that was just sort of this watershed moment for him. But it feels like that happens a lot. Like there's almost like hardcore kind of comes in and winds up driving out sort of the first wave of people that are kind of getting older at that point. Like it certainly happens in LA famously.
Yeah, like the older bands, there was no clubs at first. It was all just halls and all ages venues, and then there was And then after a while, there was more bars and stuff like so. Whatever band Moe was in after Truck 59 or whatever, they'd be more just playing clubs, and then we would just be playing when SNFU started. It was all just hall shows, like all ages shows with teenage kids, right? So those older, the first generation people had sort of moved in more into the club scene, playing at the universities and whatever few clubs there were. So yeah,
We should we
they
should say that we had like incredible amount of respect for Moe Berg, because the dude
oh
could actually play guitar and write his own songs. He was like very professional, so he was sort of like a god to us in a way.
yeah, Moberg for president for sure.
Yeah, as a kid growing up, like seeing the I'm an adult now video on Much Music, and then he'd just be around. Like he was like, oh my God, this is the guy from the TV show just walking around Toronto and just being cool. And all these years later, he's still fucking cool. I worked at a video store one time and I found out about the Modern Minds and went up to him and I'm like, oh my God, you were in this band, the Modern Minds. And the next day he gave me 2 copies of the single. He came down to the store and he's
Oh
like, yeah, you brought it up to me, so you should have them. I'm just like, man, this guy's still fucking cool.
Yeah, cool guy.
yeah, he worked at a grocery store as a stock boy or whatever, and we'd go by and we'd bug him and we'd be like, Moe Berg, right? Wow, yeah. And he talked to us and he was always super cool. Fucking amazing.
Well, I said earlier, that Modern Mind single is fucking awesome. That Malibu Ken single's fucking awesome. That Rock and Roll Bitches record, like everyone, and I think Mo even said it when he was on the show, like everyone in Edmonton could play. Like it wasn't like a punk scene where it seems like you could just show up and, figure it out.
Well, the modern minds set a high standard. Those guys, Mo set that high standard that everyone had to achieve to get up to. Mo set a high bar. He did. He was so talented. Yeah.
A lot of people I've talked to about you guys, it's always skateboarding is their entryway. And I know from Mark, when you and me talked, you talked about how skateboarding was like an important part of your guys' lives growing up, like even pre-punk, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's how we met Chai, was through skateboarding. We were introduced to punk rock through hearing it on the radio and stuff, but it was also appearing in skateboard magazines, which we would, study, like religiously pick up the latest issue of Skateboarder magazine and just study it for every day, pick up and look at it and be like, which word would you take? Which setup would you take? Loved skateboarding. And then we also loved music. And then, so when you start hearing those things about punk rock, and then little inklings of it start to appear in your favorite skateboarding magazines, it's like, oh my God, yeah. Like it all starting to dovetail together. And meeting Chai was through skateboarding. We didn't really hang out with him skateboarding because he was like on this sort of rival skateboard team, the Skiers skate team. Him and his brother Danny were 2 of the best skaters in the city. There's a huge half pipe at Skiers. And like tons of people would just go there and watch skateboarders and they would just rip that thing up, like huge half pipe, not even like a half pipe they make now, was too big. And so we knew Ken. And then when punk shows started happening, some of the shows wouldn't be that many people, but we'd see Ken there and be like, there's Ken Chin from the Skiers team. So we said hi to him and we started hanging out. And then just goes from there because he was a super fun guy to hang out with, super energetic.
Just to hang around, and he would talk to everybody. So we got that's just to introduce to everybody in the scene because he knew everybody. He had the gift of gab, and he was hilarious, and everyone would just it was just good hang for sure.
Yeah, love to have fun. So that's how we met Chai, and I mean that's how led to ultimately SNFU becoming a band, right? So it all sort of happened through skateboarding.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people tell me that they first found out about you guys through Thrasher magazine. Like Thrasher covering you guys was like such an entry point for a lot of people into the band. And it feels like you guys are almost like the forgotten skate rock band in a lot of ways. Like, you guys are all skaters. Skaters love you guys. Like it's I just never I put you into a skateboarding context in sort of that post Warped Tour era where, that just was what punk rock was in a lot of ways. But prior to that, like sort of like that skate rock era, like I never really thought of SNFU in that context, but like, yeah, you guys are kind of like the Canadian skate rock band.
I'll take it. We always thought of some of the Calgary bands as more like the skate rock bands, like Beyond Possession, and because the skate scene in Calgary, I think, was a little bigger than it is here.
Yeah, it was a bigger scene for sure.
And there was a lot of bands in Calgary that were like skate themes, like Rip Shred and RSG, Rip Shred and Grind, and Beyond Possession were a total skate band. And the Manor in Calgary, like the big punk house, had a skateboard ramp, like a half pipe there in the backyard. And guys from Calgary would come up to Edmonton and ride pools that were closed that we'd hear about. It's like, what the hell? What? And so I think of Calgary as more like the skate rock scene than us, but we loved skateboarding. I don't know if we're a skate band. I have no problem people saying that, but I don't know.
Yeah, and when we started touring, whenever we went to San Francisco, we'd always hang out go to Thrash. We would just go by the Thrasher office and hang out and go get lunch with them or whatever. So we were always in Thrasher. Yeah, we were always hanging out with Thrasher guys when we were in San Francisco.
We wanted to be connected to that whole scene desperately.
Yeah. And then in LA, like from Who Played in Fluff, he was the photographer. Like he did photos with us and stuff. So yeah, and he worked at Transworld. So there's another skateboard connection just through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, O.
He's the best.
Yeah, he's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. And like, talk about someone that's just got his fingerprints all over punk rock, from like Rock from the Crypt to.
If you did a tree of everyone that O knew and influenced and connected, it'd be a very large tree.
I think he would love the fact that he spent his life in music, and that's what I think every time I met him, that's what he wanted to do, is just connect people and bring people into this thing and show people cool stuff. Like he was just such a true pure spirit in a world that sometimes people aren't as pure spirits in music.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that have agendas and things like that, and O was just the complete opposite of that.
Yeah.
He was hilarious. He'd call Chai Diaper Boy all the time, which we loved. We were just like, because we wouldn't talk shit to Chai that much, but he had no problem calling him Diaper Boy, which was hilarious.
Actually, I wanted to ask you about when did you guys first meet the Stern brothers?
Well, when they came up through Western Canada on a tour with Social Distortion, and who else was on that bill? Youth Brigade.
That was like the Another State of Mind tour, right?
Yeah, which is documented in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was the first time we met them.
I read an interview where Chai said that he had a nickname for Sean Stern back then.
Mr. Peanut?
Mr. Penis Head?
Peanut.
Peanut. It was transcribed so poorly that they put Mr. Penis Head.
No.
Because he had the skinheads, or he looked like Mr. the Planter's peanut logo.
Oh, that's way nicer than the other nickname. I'm glad
he probably morphed it into Penis Head eventually. Yeah, it started with Peanut Head. Yeah, juvenile humor. You'll always go to a penis, right? Yeah.
Had you guys already met Jello Biafra prior to that, or?
Well, we met when Dead Kennedys toured in '83, or was that '84? Yeah, and we played with them in Edmonton and Saskatoon and Regina. So that's when we first met Jello.
Because I heard Jello wanted to put out, and obviously you guys do records with him later on, but I heard he wanted to put out records by you guys.
Oh, that's right. It would have been, I think it was in the fall, just before we recorded the album. And he said, if the BYO thing doesn't work out, give me a call. He did say that. So I think we played with him just the same, like 2 months before we recorded the album. That sounds like highly logical.
And well, when you guys kind of like, because I guess you guys do the tracks on it came from Interspace Comp first.
Yeah.
And then the LP is the next follow-up right away. Was there ever thoughts of doing like a 7-inch in between, or is it just you guys had enough songs and the opportunity presented itself? Or
yeah, I think we would have done a 7-inch, but the album thing came along we would have done a 7-inch, I'm sure. But yeah, but the album came along. So
how much of that was written before you guys kind of knew you guys were going to do an album, and were just songs that you kind of had in the repertoire, and how much of it was written for that record, do you think? Like, did you have to sit down and actually write more songs, or you guys already kind of prepared for that?
Yeah, we just wrote songs. We just kept writing songs, and that's what we had at that point. Like, this Trust album release that's coming out, they've got all this a second, like the box set's gonna have a second disc. And it's got all these super old songs which they found somewhere. And yeah, and that's stuff that like so we had stuff written that got parsed out and didn't make the first album. So like if we record the album 4 months later, we would have had a different set of songs. We just kept moving down the line, right? Yeah.
Well, that's a crazy thing too, is because you guys are putting out like a record a year, and it's like all of them are killer, right? As I said off the top, but it's amazing with that first LP how the sound is like there right away. You guys are, I guess, been a band for what, 3 years at that point? Like 85, right? The record comes out.
Yeah, approximately.
Yeah.
But it still sounds crazy. It's like one of my favorite debut LPs.
But I don't think we were that prolific though. I think looking at the amount of time we were around, I think we could have put out way more material.
Yeah, we should have done 2 albums a year, I think. That's what we should have done.
But we just love touring so much. So we'd constantly be like, "Oh, can we go on tour again? Can we go? Should we go? Should we go?"
Yeah, because we didn't really write. We didn't write on tour at all, actually.
Mike Watt, I remember saying that back in the day, they like Minutemen would put out records to promote tours rather than touring to promote a record.
That's us. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing for us.
Yeah, because you guys spend like I think most of '86 in the US. Like you guys are there for like forever.
We did a very long tour around that time. I think we were out for 5 or 6 weeks. Or I remember because Johnny Stiff was booking us, and we were already out for 4 weeks, and he was like, "You guys want to keep going?" And I don't know who was talking to the agent at that time, but I remember someone coming back to the band and guys want to keep going, and we could because none of us were working or anything, so we were having fun, so we just kept going. We were committed.
86. We probably did a couple months. Yeah.
And it's a weird time in kind of like the punk rock history books, right? Like 83 is kind of like the mass exodus year for a lot of people in the first wave of hardcore. It just comes up on the show a lot. Between 83 and 85, a lot of people kind of get out. The violence becomes super heavy in LA. All sorts of different factors are kind of playing in there.
Yeah.
And then it seems like there's like a new crop of bands in that period, kind of like led by you guys in a lot of ways, that are kind of out touring. It's I don't know, I'm really fascinated by that pre-Nirvana, post-hardcore period of independent music, that you guys are kind of like one of the main bands, certainly from here, kind of going out in the States and doing it around then.
Still touring. I think it did stall. I mean, we were wondering what was going on because at that time we were playing like a lot of the same places over and over again. And I don't know, but we kept doing it. I mean, we loved doing it. That's why we kept doing it. And I'm sure it sort of came up in our collective heads about what was going on with the punk rock scene, if how long it was going to last. It seemed like you could sort of see it fizzling a little bit in popularity. It wasn't as big as it used to be.
Yeah. Like I think in LA they had those huge Olympic Auditorium shows, and then when we started going to LA, it kind of moved to Fender. So like this, everything was getting a bit smaller. I think, yeah, because the violence and people were moving on from it for sure. Like I remember the first time we were in LA, we saw this punk rock guy, and we're like, "Where's Okie Dog?" And he's like, "Don't go to Okie Dog. You're just gonna get arrested by the cops." And it was just like, "Oh yeah," and it's like sort of like the whole LA scene, the violence and the cops is sort of all catching up to each other, and there was definitely a dip at that point. Yeah, right when we started hitting the scene, it started dying.
But it's kind of like, it's like bands like yourselves and there's other bands in that era, but like you guys are kind of carrying it on your backs in a lot of ways, because it is the lean years for this sort of scene. And like it really, it's a great period too. Kind of like there's a really cool site that has every single show you guys played up until like 80. No, I think it goes up to maybe the first breakup. It kind of stops at, and it's like flyers for all these shows, and sort of being able to track your guys, like, journeys into the US and the different bands you're playing with and different scenes you're kind of touching on. It's it's such an awesome thing to kind of look at. And you guys you played so many shows.
Yeah, I think like, some of the big, like I was saying, LA was dying. It probably at that point when we were first, second album, there were smaller places that were doing shows that wouldn't have been doing it earlier, right? Like I remember playing in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and other smaller college town stuff. They weren't doing shows there 4 years earlier. Like so maybe like some of the, like LA and New York, the scenes were kind of dipping down, but it was kind of, the grassroots thing was starting at that point, right? Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's that tour, maybe it's the next tour where you guys play like 6 shows in Florida in a
Oh yeah.
row. It's crazy. I'm like,
I
that's
think,
a lot
yeah,
of
I remember,
Florida.
we played a lot of shows in Florida. It was, that could have, I wonder, there was a whole skinhead scene going on in Florida, and that might have been like that tour when we played 6 shows. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about that because I heard about a St. Petersburg show that was particularly crazy for skinhead shit. In an old interview that you guys gave in some zine, you're talking about a St. Petersburg show that eventually, I think, maybe even got shut down because of the skinhead shit that was going down there. A lot of violence in the pit or something.
Well, yeah, I remember one show. There was hardly any skinheads. There was only like 10 skinheads, but they managed to almost close the show because they were just wanting. They would like stand there and flick a cigarette butt over their shoulder at a group of people, and then just turn around, and they were like, want to fight you, and then just chasing people randomly down the street. And
But there was a show, I think we played a show in Orlando. It was like in an old theater. Do you remember that show? With the Accused.
with the Accused.
And it was like an old theater. I don't know, but it was pretty full. And then this gang of skinheads came in, I don't know, 20, 30 guys, just causing shit, right? Like I remember watching the opening band, like from the stage, you could just see like this tussle here and then a tussle there. And then at some point during the show, the skinheads basically got kicked out of the show. Everyone said that fuck it. Like everyone just figured out if we all get together, we'll get those guys out of here. And then the skin basically said the show's either you guys leave or the show's done. So we said, fuck you guys. And then the skinheads all got together and they Zeke Heiled and they left. And the fucking room just erupted. So like it turned into the show of absolute mayhem where everyone's like fearing for their lives. And then suddenly those fucking assholes were gone. And it was fucking amazing. It was like, just like whoosh, the sun had come out and everyone was having a good time. It was like good time punk rock after that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was Orlando is where it was.
When Chris Hanna was on the show one time from Propaganda, he talked about they had a huge skinhead problem in Winnipeg, and then the bunch of fucking goofs showed up one day and just beat up all the skinheads, and they were like, "Oh, we can fight these guys. Like we don't have to deal with this." Like, and then it kind of changed everything after that point. But yeah, like I guess that's the only way to really respond to it is you got to get rid of them. Like if they're not gonna behave. It's not gonna get better on its own. Unfortunately,
That's funny.
But,
Stomp them out.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's this kind of thing where I guess the BFGs beat up all the skinheads from Toronto, and they just kind of kept going west, and the BFGs
Oh.
would kind of push them further. And then in Vancouver, there's that band Blasphemy. I don't know if you guys ever played with them, or they were like one of the first black metal bands. There's legends of them sacrificing Nazis to Satan.
Oh wow.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the
Good idea.
the legend. But there was like crazy street fights between like Nazis and metalheads in Vancouver. Kind of, it's Canada, not as boring as you think. We got some crazy stuff that happened up here, right?
No.
Yeah.
That skinhead thing, it's and it's also like I guess the skinhead thing as it's going further and further right wing. It's a fascinating thing to see that it's a problem. It's almost like a universal problem across North America around sort of mid to late 80s.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like right wing, left wing. It swings back and forth, right? Just like right now, how globally right wing attitudes are very popular, like globally. And it's kind of disturbing, but I sort of think it'll eventually swing back the other way. It just goes back and forth. I don't know if it's someone's pushing it or if it's just a cultural swing. I don't really know.
Yeah, I remember back in the 80s talking to someone in Florida, I think. And anyway, he was saying, he goes, "Oh, I know half those guys from high school. They just drove pickup trucks and listened to Leonard Skinner. And now they've just shaved their head and they're listening to like Screwdriver or whatever, right? And he said, yeah, it's like the same guys. And it's for some reason, it's like if someone tells you that you're better than them and it boosts your confidence, and then you get sucked into the whole thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think over time you realize how much of just male violence is based on insecurity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And then if someone says you're better than them, it's like, okay, I'll buy into that. And then next thing you know, you're a fucking idiot doing stupid stuff, right?
Sadly, it's not something that stops, unfortunately, too. It's like something that is still a problem from time to time in different places. Like Mark, you said, it's like something that comes in waves. But um, yeah, it's I think right now, hopefully, it's punk scenes as the rest of the world goes to shit. Punk seems to be pretty strong in making sure that they're not going as shitty these days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um, when did you guys first meet like Gorilla? Like Biff Naked's band with Limo and
Kent,
yeah.
sound man Kent with bass player.
Yeah. When did you like were they're Edmonton, right? Or I think.
No, they started in Winnipeg.
Oh, they went. Oh, that's right. That makes sense.
And then they moved to Vancouver. So when there was that gap when SNFU broke up between 89 and 91, Chai moved to Vancouver, started the Wongs, and the Wongs and Gorilla were super tight. So that's when, yeah, the Chai and Biff got to know each other quite well. They did a tour, I think, all across Canada, the Wongs and Gorilla. That would have been like in that 2 years SNFU had that 2 year SNFU break. Yeah.
When you guys do the first LP, does BYO Canada, which I think was your manager's label,
Yeah. Yeah.
did he start that for that first LP? Because like the second pressing is on BYO Canada, I believe, right?
Yeah, Gubby, the manager for SNFU started, and yeah, it was to release the SNFU album and then be like a I don't know, like a Canadian arm of the BYO thing, right? So, and he released a few other albums. I'm not sure, a few other albums other than the SNFU one on Better.
We did the Junior Gone Wild record.
Oh yeah, did he do the Brigade? I think he did the Brigade.
Yeah, and Something Better Change, I think, is on BYO Canada too.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there's another one that I'm forgetting. Unwanted, maybe the Unwanted record too.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
BYO did do an Unwanted record.
Yeah. Did BYC do it? I don't know. Better Youth Canada. And then because Gubby was our manager, and then he moved to Montreal. So that I think that's sort of when the BYC thing stopped, is when he moved to Montreal and started working at Cargo. Right.
So what's the story on the cover art for the first LP?
Oh God.
As much as you can talk about it, I guess.
Okay. We need an album cover, right? Me and Mark go to the library. We're going through photo art books, right?
To get ideas.
And the album's called No One Else Wanted to Play. That we knew that was figured out. And we saw this photo, this Diane Arbus photo, and we're like, "Fuck, this is perfect! What a great photo!" Right? So I don't know, what did we do? We probably took the book out from the library, photocopied it, whatever. Anyway,
Ken and Ken's.
Yeah, we went to Ken and Ken's place, and they were like they actually liked it, which we weren't sure if they're gonna like it. So then whatever it was. So Ken's roommate Ken was a graphics layout guy. He worked at some print shop. So Ken Hansen did the whole layout for the album cover,
and he never said anything. He didn't.
He send it.
He was like, great. Took the book and shot it.
That's right. So So then we send it to LA. The album comes out. And then right when the album comes out, we get a letter. This is the good old days. Who knows how long? So we get a letter from Jello Biafra going, "How did you get the rights to that to the Diane Arbus photo?" She's like, Diane Arbus, her estate is super picky about they won't license anything.
They sued the Crucifix, and Theft Gang Children tried to use some artwork and got refused.
Yeah. So he warned us, and then we called BYO in LA and we tell them, "Whoa, yeah, we don't have the rights to this. What should we do?" And basically BYO in LA stopped. They just basically ceased and desisted all on their own. We never ever did hear anything from the Diane Arbus estate. But anyway, we stopped it, and they said they don't want to, they want to change it. So then the Canadian release was coming out after that. So Gubby's roommate did a drawing of the Deanne Arbus photo. And we thought, okay, it's an artistic interpretation. If, it's going to be legal copyright wise and all that. So we released that
In Canada.
in Canada. And of course, like now you would just send an email and say, this is the photo. But anyway, BYO doesn't see the cover until it's all pressed and out. And BYO said, nah, we don't want to take the chance. That's too similar, right? So then BYO put out this one. Oh, I got them right here, right? So
Oh, no, that's number
number
two.
one, right?
No,
Yeah.
Oh no, that's number two. Number one photo. Sorry about the lighting. Number two, artistic interpretation.
Yeah.
Number three,
the cover that Chai submitted. That's the one we should have used.
I did. So you said Chai did this, eh? I thought Mark
Yeah.
Stern did it. So Chai did that. And we just thought it was a bit soft. We didn't like that. And so then it was coming out in England, and BYO said, the distributor, I think it was Southern, they got a cover for it. It's great. And we kept saying, we got to approve it. And they wouldn't send it to us. So we kind of got our backs up because they wouldn't send it to us to approve. So by the time we actually saw it, we fucking hated it. It was a skull with some, and they said it's going to be like 3 shades of black, and it's going to be printed. And we said, fuck it. And then we were in tour in Montreal, and we were at the Biff Tech drinking beer, and this guy said, oh, I did this SNFU thing. We went to his house and we said, okay, perfect. And that was it.
Yeah. Because it was crunch. They were like, we need a cover. You have to have it done like in 3 days or whatever. Like,
yeah. And we just, the English cover probably would have been actually really cool, but we kind of got our backs up because they were being very slow, and they didn't really want us to see it until it was out, I guess. I guess they were just doing it back to us because we did it to them.
mm-hmm.
Right. You can't see it until it's printed.
So was the British pressing like supposed to be a Christmas record, or just coincidentally that has Santa Claus on the cover?
Coincidence.
Yeah. Well, I think when the guy was drawing this, it was around Christmas time, and it was and he had this concept. He called the picture Insanity Claus, right? So he was calling it Insanity Claus. It was inspired by the SNFU album cover.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought, he's got the little boy with his head on it, it all made sense at that time.
It's funny because like that American cover, like I guess the second press American cover, you never see up here. Like to me, that was all like when I first saw that in the US on tour, I was like, what the hell is that? Like,
yeah, how many did they press? Because I've never seen this anywhere.
Yeah, like I don't know, and they all go for, like, I guess it's good that it's getting reissued because they all go for money on the secondary Discogs kind of market now, as like, but there's no real definitive pressing info, because like I would assume that Canadian press must be the most pressed out of all of them, just because that's the one I grew up seeing the most. But now I realize, oh, that's just because I'm in Canada.
Yeah.
Took me forever to find the photograph one. That never shows up.
That would be rare. That would be pretty rare.
Because so did they stop it before it was even released?
No,
it came out.
Okay. That's what I thought. Yeah, because.
And we probably went on tour and we were probably selling them out of the van, the first photo one. But yeah, they just changed it to second pressing.
So what's the deal with the Quincy 7-inch? Is it a bootleg or is it legit?
I think Chai did it, put it out with some guy, and it was he didn't tell us anything about it because I think he was just trying to make money on the side, and yeah, so we didn't know a lot about it. And when it came about, he was very sheepish about it and sort of said, "Oh,
that was that 2-year gap when we broke up. That came out, right?"
Yeah.
So he was in Vancouver. We were kind of out of touch with him, and we saw it, and I remember I was in Vancouver. I was hanging out with him, and I said, "So how about that 7-inch?" He goes, "You put it out, right?" And he goes, "Oh, I had nothing to do with it." I said, "Dude, it's your layout. For sure you did it. I can tell you did it. Like, I know your layout." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Yeah, the guy called me up, but I don't know anything about it." And he was still kind of sheepish about it, but yeah.
So I don't really know, but I think he got approached by whoever did it.
Yeah.
And they just had a deal together.
Yeah, they approached him, and I think he said, so he wanted to be involved with it. He said, if you're going to do it, I want to be involved, and he did the cover on it and stuff. So yeah.
That's another one where there's like so many weird versions of it. There's one that's like a potato stamp cover, There's someone's like carved a potato stamp and stamped it. I saw it. Well, we were on tour one time in Germany, and someone had it in their record collection. Like it feels
Oh,
like, yeah, I don't know how many variations of it there are, but it doesn't show up very often. But when it does, I'm always like, there's another
I'm not
version
even
of
sure
this?
if I don't think I even have one.
Yeah, I don't think I do. I think I would have made a potato stamp one. That sounds like something I'd want to do. Maybe I did that and I forgot about it.
I think it came out of Minnesota. Someone told me, or Minneapolis, or anyway.
I
But
have no idea.
Maybe Wisconsin if it's a potato thing.
yeah, that you're right. That would definitely be on brand. The wildest SNFU record acquisition I ever got was the first time we went to the Czech Republic. I found a copy of "She's Not on the Menu" from someone at a distro at the back was selling some of their used 7 inches, and I was just like in shock to see it there at this like random punk show. Having
I
spent
have a stack of those covers.
oh whoa
I'm probably gonna bring them to Vegas.
oh that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what was the decision to put those old uh songs on it? Like were there just no other B-sides kind of available for it, or because
For
it's like
that range?
yeah, because isn't the B-side songs are from like 82, right? Yeah, like Life of a Bag Lady's off the
Oh no,
comp.
yeah. And then she's on the menu. That was we kind of were playing it differently at that point. That's when Ted and Kurt were in the band, I think.
Yes, Dance Mix is what it's labeled
Yeah.
as.
Dunce
Dunce
mix.
Mix. That's sorry, Dunce Mix. Perfectly apropos that I would misread it.
I think we just wanted to put out a 7-inch.
Yeah.
Really. So we recorded one song
And I think that because that Life of Bagley hadn't been released at that point, I don't think, on anything. So
yeah.
Isn't it on one of the comps? Isn't it on one of the early compilations, or maybe I'm mistaken on that?
It was supposed to be on a comp. It was supposed to be on this album called, a guy had this project called the Westward Project. And it was like before Inner Space, and he wanted to do a collection of Edmonton bands, but the funding, I don't know what ultimately happened. The funding fell through and he left out.
The guy just disappeared. Yeah. There was like 3 live shows, and there was shows to raise money to make the record, and he did the live shows and then he just disappeared. So but and every band had to pay for the recording. So we had the recording in the can. So it was just sitting waiting to come out.
It's cool with SNFU because it's almost like the story of 2 bands, because like as I say, I love all the records. I think that you guys are amazing as a recorded band. But the legend is also of the live band. Like I think maybe even the live band legend is supersedes the recording legend for some people. I saw you guys like in the 90s and it was unbelievable, but like everyone you talk to saw you guys were like they were the greatest band ever. Like
when did you see us? Like Warped Tour or something? Snow Jam at Opera House.
Yeah, Opera House Snow Jam.
Okay.
I saw it, and it's at 360 Club with No Warning, but that was like way late. I think that might be the last, like 2000. It might have been the last lineup type thing, second last door.
No,
I wasn't.
Yeah, no,
I was at the Opera House though.
The Opera House was way better. I don't want to cast aspersions on that last lineup, but the Opera House show, because like as a kid, there was already like this hype about you guys, and I was like a huge fan of the records and everything, but then just to see it, Chive Pig throws a fireball, like it's just everything about it is just like burned into my memory. And
I think the Opera House was a good venue for us. I think every time we played at the Opera House, it was a good show. We probably played there 4 times. It was just it was a good place for us.
Yeah, there was just something about that show too, where it was like I feel like this from like talking to a lot of people, like you guys would always stand out on these bills, and like you kind of get lumped into this sort of like epiphat scene that was exploding at that time for a lot of people. But I think anyone that knows the band knows that you guys were something different. And obviously you predate that but also just like everything about the band. It wasn't like some California skate thing. It was like, it's SNFU. Like it's something special. I heard a story though that you guys did a show one time that was like called a raffle show, where you had like a big drum full of songs and a Vanna White type impersonator that would come out with this drum and people would draw song titles.
I think there was a wheel.
Oh, it was a wheel. Oh,
Yeah,
No, I
because I
think it was
think
a drum. I think it was a drum. Did
oh, a
Ford
drum.
dress as Vanna White? Or was it the Sacred Heart Parish? So it would have been like 87 or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did a show with Wheel because I just put a bunch of videos up on a YouTube channel for Rake Records, and it's just SNFU shows. And there was one show where we had a wheel, like a spinning wheel with songs on it,
Oh,
which I'd totally forgotten about.
was that stuff that kind of came in later on for you,
Yeah.
like the more kind of like elaborate sort of stage show things, like a wheel, obviously the fireball type stuff?
Well, Chai was into fire at many shit. Like that was a thing for him for a very long time, including a real scary incident in Regina where I thought he was going to blow the place up. The fire department did show up, and he had found there's a gas canister that he got backstage. I don't even think he knew what kind of gas it was. And he was like first or second song, and he like I don't know what he did, but he got something fueled up on a rag or something and blew a fireball. It was massive. And I was freaked out because the gas can was like on the stage. And I'm like, fuck, the flame is going to go and hit that can and blow everybody up. Like I was super freaked out, super freaked out. And that was like near the end of my time at SNFU when Chai was kind of loopy and kind of out of it. And so that was super scary. The fire department did show up to that show while we were playing to see what the hell was going on. But he was into fire for a long time. And Chai would always be looking for stuff to do on stage to make himself different, where there was like batting wieners out into the crowd or props, like cheerleader pom poms and whatever, just something different to stand out. And I think to make it more fun for him too when he's on stage.
You kind of talk about it there about, Chai's kind of descent journey to where, that stuff that he had going on, um, mental health wise, substance abuse wise, everything like that. Like it's something I've kind of like realized from doing this podcast. It feels like lead singers in bands, like the person that would want to be the center, the ringleader of the circus type thing, seem to be people that are kind of prone to these sorts of things. I don't think you have to be like a punk rock historian to know about HR's battles, and Chai Pig's battles are fairly storied at this point. And like you go through the annals, like Darby Crash, like there's just like a list of people that would be lead singers that kind of fall into these sorts of traps, or maybe they're predisposed to it. Like it's interesting. It's like the psychological makeup that makes someone yearn to be a lead singer and makes someone a great lead singer is the exact psychological makeup that should prevent them from ever having that job, because it's going to eat them alive. And I say that as a lead singer
I
that
was
has
going to say, tell me more about it, Damon.
yeah, no, I say this as a lead singer that now I realize, largely from doing this podcast, the shit I put the people in my band through. And I think like Gord Downey, like years ago, I like said to me, like, lead singers wear it differently. And like as a lead singer, you're gonna go through this whole thing differently than anyone else in your band will, because it's a different kind of relationship you have to the experience. Like there's not that playing an instrument's a distraction, but like at the same time, like there's nothing to prevent you from just getting trapped in your own ego or having your own
Yeah,
shit.
if you have the mic in your hand, there's gonna be way more eyes on you, right? For sure. There's no doubt about it. And with that comes a whole different experiences for sure. Yeah.
Do you remember when that started happening with Chai? Was that something that you guys kind of saw all along, or is it something that gradually started to emerge with his struggles?
Well, there was a gradual progression with him. I mean, he used to, like way back, he was a very focused person and very concerned about the image of the band and was super involved in every sort of graphic aspect of the band. And he was totally into that. And he didn't drink. He was pretty straight because he was very concerned about performing, being a good performer, and very focused on all of that. And it slowly changed over time. It was very slow progression. It wasn't like a sudden thing. And we were around for a long time too. SNFU existed for like 30 whatever years. So it was a slow progression, and probably coincided with the popularity of the band too, because we always weren't at our most popular point was probably around 1991, 92. But we continued to play because we just love to play, right? We love to play shows. And so I think for Chai, I mean, Chai had a large family growing up. I think his family upbringing was very different from Brent and my upbringing. We were pretty normal middle class people. It's like interesting how we came together to make a band because we are so different. And maybe one reason why we were such good friends is because we not completed each other, but he had like a lot of personality attributes that we didn't have, that we thought was so cool that he would actually do that, you know, and because he was very brave in some aspects. So we were very different, but I think he had a lot of struggles growing up, and it really started to manifest itself in negative ways later in life for him.
Yeah.
I think it was Joe from Rise Against who told me that, like, it was the perfect balance. Like, you guys balanced his energy. Like, the two of you were like, and that's when they like with 88 Fingers Louie being on tour with you guys. Like, he described the band, your SNFU, as being the gold standard for bands back then, and just like how the two camps he described it as, because he said you guys even toured in separate vehicles around that tour.
So we could have for one or two tours. I think we had a gear van and a separate van.
Yeah, and he would ride with the crew in the gear van, and you guys would be in the other van. He said that's how he remembers it.
Okay.
I kind of remember him just being in the back. Even if he was in the van, he was always in the very back of the bunk, just sleep. He'd sleep the whole time we were driving. So yeah, but he was, and he was in his own world. He'd sleep in the daytime, and then after the show, he would just stay up all night in the hotel room, flipping channels, staying up all night. Yeah.
That's like it's funny. That's like a lead singer problem. Like, I think it's how do you come down from that thing? And that's what I like. Until I found weed, I would just sit up all night flipping channels, like eating fast food. And then now cannabis puts me to sleep, at least, but like it's hard to come down, right? Like, the whole day's building up. And I think it's like this for everybody in the band, but it just seems like you're saying, the one with the microphone for some reason is a raw nerve, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different for lead singers, but I think that experience that you're alluding to is pretty common for everybody in a band, where if you're playing these huge shows and then you come off stage and it's like a vacuum, right?
Yeah.
It's like totally different. And unless you're like meeting and greeting everybody and keeping the party going, it can be kind of like a jarring juxtaposition, right? Of doing this crazy live show with people screaming for you and then to nothing. It can be kind of, I don't know, it can mess with your head.
But I think, and like, not to defend us lead singers or to justify our actions, but I think the whole time you're just focused on that audience reaction. Like, and so if it's a terrible show, you're taking that in the whole time. There's like nothing else for you to be focused on. I guess remembering your lyrics, but what lead singer does that? Like, it's like, you know, like, you're not, everything is just taking it all in. And like, you're right, everyone in the band, I think, has problems falling asleep, but all my roommates are definitely way passed out before I am in those hotel rooms, and I'm the one still up watching Law and Order reruns or The Office reruns, trying to fall asleep after the show. And I don't know, like, it's just something I've noticed. I feel like drummer jokes were invented by lead singers to distract from the fact that they're the problem.
Yeah.
Like,
is that a drummer joke or a lead singer joke? I can't know.
I don't know, but I feel like anytime I meet a drummer, they're much more emotionally stable. Like, every joke that's put on drummers, I feel, is much more applicable to a lead singer. From the timing jokes, from like sleeping on their girlfriend's couch jokes. Like, I feel they're all lead singer kind of qualities being put on display there.
Yeah. I never really thought about all those years and all that extra pressure, you know. I was probably more jealous of the attention he was getting. Right?
That's the other piece of it too,
Right?
is as lead singer, everyone's putting the attention on you. And it's like that No Doubt Don't Speak video, where everyone in the band starts resenting you because, you know, and I've been in photo shoots with the band where all of a sudden they're like, okay, everyone step out of the shot. We're just going to get a couple shots of the lead singer for this piece. And that's going to fucking piss off everybody. I get that.
Yeah.
It's just like I don't know, and especially at this level of touring where the bigger the bands get, the more people that are there to insulate the band members from each other. But at this sort of like, I guess, quote unquote, middle class band touring where you're all stuck in the same van, there's no escape.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Ramones, right? Passing notes under the door to communicate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We never got to that, thank God.
I think we all live in fear of getting to that Ramones stage where you're.
Yeah.
What was that period like? Kind of because you guys see that Nirvana explosion, and then immediately from that Nirvana explosion, you're kind of into that Green Day, Offspring explosion. You guys toured a bunch with the Offspring too, I know, and played with Green Day.
We played one or two. We played a couple shows with Offspring, but we never toured with them.
Oh, I thought you guys toured with them.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that period like though, where all of a sudden, like going from this period where this music's in decline, or not in decline, well, like you said, it was kind of like stagnant at least, Mark, to this period where now there's labels attention on it, there's Much Music, I'm sure, is paying more attention at that point. Like it feels like the world kind of changed a little bit, that post Nirvana, post Green Day kind of period.
Oh, for sure. And every club that would never want anything to do with punk rock suddenly wanted to book any punk rock band they could, right? Yeah. It definitely was like a switch had gone. It was great. Yeah. It made touring a lot easier, getting shows easier. It made everything easier for a punk rock band for sure.
Was Much Music supportive at all in the early years, or like I guess it would be City Limits before that, like new music?
I think Much Music was supportive. I mean, they covered it to a degree, so I wouldn't expect them.
Never, there was no heavy rotation for us, but and when we did that reunion tour in '91, they came out to the show at the Opera House and they brought their cameras down and they talked to us. And was that City Limits, I guess? So maybe City Limits was backing us, and it was always, they were always pretty cool. So.
And you guys came in and played twice there, or is it just the one time? I know because I used, when I was working at Much Music, I remember watching at least one set that you guys came in and played.
Yeah, there's, I think, just once. Maybe did you guys do another one after I left the band, Mark? But there was that one show with Suki and Lee. She was
on the Wedge. Yeah,
that was awesome.
I thought there was one with Simon Evans too, where you guys came in and played, but maybe it's just the Suki and Lee one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, just the one.
Yeah, that was awesome. I remember watching that on TV when it aired originally, but working at Much Music, you can go down to the library and you can watch all the stuff. Yeah, I had nothing to do all day, so I would just go to the library and watch old tapes. You mentioned last time we talked, Mark, about how the second record you kind of were a little bit checked out on when it came to writing the second record.
Yeah, not writing, but in recording.
In recording it, that's what I meant. Sorry. Was how involved were you at that point in the second record, Brent? Was it still like, were you kind of feeling the same sort of pull that your brother was feeling, or?
Well, it's kind of odd you say that because we actually recorded that one in Edmonton. So you think we would have been more involved, right? But maybe because it was in Edmonton, we were more distracted. I think I had a day job.
I had a job. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was probably a big part of it. Yeah, I had a job working in like the government, Alberta Treasury or something like that. So, but I think we were just going in at late nights downtime at the studio anyway. But yeah, I don't remember I remember when we finished that album, I was super happy with that album and the way it came out and all that. But
it's an awesome record. And that's why I was surprised when, Mark, you said you were kind of distracted during the making of it, because it does feel like you guys kind of level up the sound or take the sound to like the next place it's kind of going to evolve to. It's like a really kind of experimental record in its own way too.
Yeah, well, I think the songwriting got better, and that was with a different rhythm section, and the first rhythm section was great, but then John and Dave, they just the level one, and we toured, like we played the first album came out, and we played 90 shows or whatever. So of course we're just a really tight band at that point, right? So yeah. And I think Dave Bacon was in the studio every second of that recording. I think Dave was super.
He was there a lot.
Yeah.
And his bass playing outrageous on that record. And John Card was, you know, an incredible drummer, like incredibly musical person. And so having those two guys at the rhythm section, it's just, you're going to come up with something really good.
I remember Dave in the studio going, should I do this? Or this? Well, if I could do that second thing, I'd fucking do that. Like, yeah, but yeah. So it was, yeah. Just like let her rip, Dave. Yeah, he was wailing.
Yeah, it's such an awesome record. And like, once again, it goes to the fact that like everyone in Edmonton could play. Like every time you guys replace the lineup, everyone's killer. Like you get the drummer from Personality Crisis eventually.
That was John Card.
That's John, yeah.
Yeah, John played on the first album tour and then the second album. Yeah. Amazing.
What was it like working with David Ogilvy?
Dave Ogilvy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The best. Yeah. I wish we did every album with Dave. When we did our first Epitaph album, and then we did the next two Epitaph albums with Rave, and I really wish he could have had in some capacity, like on the Feel Out album. I think he mostly just mixed it, but yeah, he was easy to work with, great mixer, got good performances, which is tough, you know. So,
were you guys Skinny Puppy fans at all?
Not really. No.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't really know much about them. I knew what they were, and I just sort of didn't really think it was my cup of tea. But I remember like when I met Dave first, he would take me to their practice spot, and I was just like kind of wide-eyed at looking at all their strange gear and all their props and everything were all like jammed in their rehearsal spot. It was just crazy, as you could imagine, like a Skinny Puppy rehearsal studio would be.
Yeah. They're another band that people always bring up as being an incredible live band for completely different reasons, I think, because they would show fucked up movies in the background or all sorts of, you know,
Skinny Puppy.
Yeah.
And theatrical things. Yeah, I remember in 83 or 84, we did this festival in Vancouver. It was 3 nights, and they played, and like when Skinny Puppy played, the singer had this knife with fake blood, and yeah, it was super like Alice Cooper, crazy theatrical thing. Yeah,
it's brilliant. Like, who was doing what they did when they were doing it? They were a completely unique band, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and a band that I feel like this actually, sadly, with a lot of the great bands from Canada that aren't super mainstream, I think are appreciated more outside of Canada than within Canada.
Oh yeah, I remember in Germany, walking around Germany, and there was a Skinny Puppy store. It was a Skinny Puppy store. That's all they sold.
Yeah.
Like it's as big as it's a large closet, but like that was Skinny Puppy store. I was like, what? Blown away.
Did it feel that way with you guys too? That it was kind of more appreciated? I guess at different eras, it probably was different in America or internationally than it was in Canada. What you guys were doing?
I think it's a fact.
I think Edmonton always, if we were as big everywhere in the world as we were in Edmonton, we'd be as big as Green Day. So Edmonton's always been like #1 supporter for sure, I'd say. And I know at one point on Epitaph, we were the only band that sold more records out of the US than in the US.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then Pennywise was like polar opposite. Pennywise sold like 80% of the records in Orange County.
Yeah.
Right. And so like we were like Pennywise was like so super like Pennywise, like Orange County, and then from there out, and we were just like we were sort of just everywhere, not not that big, but just pretty even everywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting when you talk to people from Southern California, and you get an appreciation for just how big that music was down there. And I mean in the 90s, like Bro Hymn is practically like the Southern California state anthem.
Oh yeah. They play it at hockey games down there, like at that Anaheim Ducks games. They play it.
Isn't that the goal song for the Anaheim Ducks?
It could be, and everybody knows it. Everybody knows it.
Yeah.
They gave the keys of the city to Mike Ness in Fullerton, right?
I thought you were going to say they gave the keys of the city to Fletcher, and I'm like,
no.
God help them.
No, Mike Ness got the keys to some OC city. They gave it to him.
Well, I think they played like a stadium recently, like
Of course,
like down there.
So do you think right now Mike Ness is like, fuck, where'd I put that key? Oh fuck, where's my key? Oh man, I don't know.
He's breaking into all the speakeasies that thing right now. Who were some of your guys' favorite live bands that you guys played with?
Personality Crisis.
Yeah.
Like
Personality Crisis were gods for us.
When John joined SNFU, Personality Crisis was my favorite band in the world, like bar none. Yeah. And then, DOA, hardcore 81 era, unbelievable, right?
Yeah, agreed. Bad Brains, we had the privilege of playing with Bad Brains, and right when Eye Against Eye came out in New York. Like, incredible band, incredible shows. Smaller bands that less popular, we toured with Alice Donut, who were an amazing live band.
Yes, that was like one of the first bands I got into. I fucking love Alice Donut, and they're like a forgotten band to the same time.
I forgot about them. Thanks, Mark, for reminding me.
Great live band. No Means No, incredible band.
What about Dead Kennedys?
Dead Bob is the band that Rob has going right now. Is awesome. They're an awesome band. Dead Kennedys, and we played with Dead Kennedys right when those were incredible shows. Jello is like one of the greatest frontmen of all time. Great shows.
I also saw you guys played in maybe it's Seattle, somewhere around Seattle with like Malfunction one time. Who
we played with Malfunction?
Yeah.
Well, we sort of did. What was that place called?
Something Gardens.
Gorilla Gardens?
Gorilla Gardens. We played, but Malfunction was on the bill, but they couldn't get their gear out of their practice place to play the show. So Andrew Wood, going by Landrew, and the guitar player had an acoustic guitar, and they did like 4 acoustic songs. That was the Malfunction we saw. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Couldn't stop the show.
You know what? We probably played Bad Religion 70 times. Never a bad show. I've never seen those guys play a bad show.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That show you mentioned in New York with the Bad Brains, I think that's also with Warzone, Leeway, and maybe Nausea.
Yep.
What a bill.
Sounds right.
SNFU, that's fucking crazy. What a show.
We played City Gardens the next day or 2 days later or something like that.
Because you also do a bunch of shows around that time with Upright Citizens, I believe, too. Or maybe it's the tour before that you do.
That was the first album tour. Yeah.
The first tour.
And Raw Power you played with as well around then too?
I think we were supposed to play with Raw Power, but it didn't happen for some reason.
Yeah.
I recall that. Because I remember I think they were supposed to play some shows and they couldn't get visas or something.
Okay.
I saw a panel from the inside of your van that someone has cut out, or one of the vans, I guess, and it's like all these stickers. It must be maybe Vanna White, maybe like an early van or something, but it's got
Bacon send me that picture.
It's crazy, the stickers that are all inside it. Like I was trying to go through it, like Septic Death, Pussheads bands on there, like Unwanted sticker, obviously. It's just like a, I don't know, something that should be studied. That should be in the museum. Put that in the front.
Yeah, that should be in the museum.
What was the story on Vanna White? I believe that was the name of the van, and there was like apparently like an altar to Vanna White in it. I heard described in a zine.
I don't know if there's an altar. We just had a white van, and we always liked nickname things, so it became Vanna White. And then we were staying with our friend Dave Naz, who lived in Hollywood, who knew someone who worked on the Wheel of Fortune, and actually got us. I think there's pictures of it online of an autographed picture from Vanna that it says "To the greatest band around" or something like that. SNFU. So it just sort of like built on the legacy, and that went up in the van. But the van was named that before we got the picture. So yeah, every van had a nickname.
The guy in the zine described there being a small altar to Vanna White inside the
Oh, maybe
van.
we did have cutout pictures of Vanna White in the van.
Oh, probably.
I kind of forgot about that. Yeah.
She was popular at the time.
Yeah. So like you could always like if backstage there'd be a People magazine, you just cut out the picture of Vanna, put it in the van. That's probably what. Yeah.
Yeah, 5 lonely guys.
And Vanna White. Well, since we're talking celebrity SNFU fans, I've heard two very different variations on the Jason Priestley being maybe an SNFU fan, or maybe Chai Pig getting into a fist fight with, and I've heard they're both from Chai in two different places.
Oh, yeah.
One is that he ran into Jason Priestley, and Jason Priestley said he was a huge fan back in the day.
We played at the Whiskey A Go Go, and then Dave Smalley showed up with Jason Priestley because they were buddies. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's it. And then
backstage at the Whiskey A Go Go, and Jason Priestley was like, "Yeah, I saw you guys play at the New York Theater, and he'd seen us play." Yeah, he said he'd seen us when he lived in Vancouver. He saw us play a couple times.
Okay, that's the one variation I heard. And then there's another one where Chai says that he spilled Jason Priestley's drink on him, and then it got into a shoving match, and then he punched Jason Priestley in the nose and said maybe they should rename the show 902 Ow Ow Ow.
Oh yeah, that's what happened. That story's way better. Yeah, let's just say that happened.
Okay, good. Okay.
Most of Chai's stories got better as they aged.
As any good lead singer does with their
Did
stories.
Something happen
right?
after I left the dressing room? I don't know.
Okay, exactly.
I remember Jason Priestley like, "I'll do a rock video for you guys." And I'm like, "Sure, cool, whatever." You know.
You guys could have been the Bare Naked Ladies.
I know.
He did that
close. He was very cool. He was very chill and very like, you know, he knew who we were, and it was cool.
I'm glad it's that version of the story than not the fist fight version, which I was shocked to read.
It may have happened. I wasn't there for that.
Okay. I could talk to you guys forever, and I got like a trillion more questions, but I won't punish you any more. But I just want to know, what did it feel like winning the Heritage Prize? And like, here we are all these years later. Was there like a sense of acknowledgement or a sense of being recognized here, at least?
Well, the question coming from a fellow Polaris Prize winner, right? Yeah.
I feel like I was a glitch in the Matrix. Much like the Offspring becoming very popular, fucked up winning the Polaris Prize isn't something that should have happened.
That was awesome.
I loved it when you guys won. I loved it when you guys won. I was super stoked because I knew there were so many great bands, like some of the greatest punk bands in the world come from Canada. And it was like, finally, someone's recognizing that punk rock is the shit here in Canada.
Yeah.
I loved it when you guys won.
Well, that means a lot hearing that. Thank you very much for that.
Loved it.
Yeah. It was
and it was a killer album. So right? Yeah.
Now I'm blushing. I'm gonna have to edit this out. But no, I appreciate that. But I feel like you guys winning that, for me, I guess maybe in the same way as you're describing, like, to me, that was a victory, because there's so much good music from here, so much incredible punk, so much music that changed global music that came out of this country. And there's just, like you're saying, there's no acknowledgement of it. Like, Teenage Head never won a Juno, you know, DOA never won a Juno. Like, there's so little acknowledgement of this stuff within here and celebration of it, that when, like, to see you guys get it, it was like, God damn it, yes, finally. Like, this is, you know, and obviously DOA's gotten recognition now, and I feel like it's this generation, I think, that's really, you know, trying to draw attention to it and be like, this is where we came from, and this is like continuance.
Yeah, I loved it when we won. I thought it was a brilliant moment, because we were always like, sort of what you're alluding to, where it's like, it's never recognized by the larger music community in Canada. But we know, because we've been around and we talk to people, and people come up to us and talk to us, that we've made some kind of impact on a lot of people's lives. And we'd go around and we tour in Saskatchewan, and we would fill the room for a decade or more, right? And in Winnipeg, and play these killer shows. We know they were good shows because the people told us they had a great time. So we know we made some sort of impact, but there's never any sort of acknowledgement of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of feels verification of a way of that.
Yeah. When the nominations came out, I went, there's no way we're going to win this. Look who's nominated. So, yeah, I was really surprised when it happened. And like Mark saying, yeah, that's pretty cool.
So I think a lot of people got on their horses and voted, right? Like got online and were voting every day. And because I know even people who just like me, people I work with, were voting for the band as well. Because I told them about it, and they were like, "Oh, I voted every day."
That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
You know, you got to.
Well, apparently we ran away with it, so I don't know. Yeah. So it wasn't just friends and family, you know, it was everyone across the country backing us, and I appreciate that immensely.
Yeah, and it feels good for Chai too. I feel good for Chai. I mean, the last decade or so, I feel like I wasn't really a good friend to Chai at all, and in a regretful kind of way. I could have been there for him, and he would have truly been honored, and he deserves it too. He basically committed his life to being what he does, right, to his art. So
Yeah.
Like, is there a legacy? Is it a legacy that you're at peace with SNFU? Like, do you look at it as being something that you're happy with the way everything kind of played out, or is there a sense of regret or what could have been at all? Or,
well, we could have played it differently for sure. And I think about music all the time. I still think about SNFU all the time, but I'm very at peace with it now. I mean, I drive myself crazy if I didn't just put it to bed, but it is what it is. And you got to take the positives from it. You got to be like, well, look at what we did. You know, we planted our flag and we loved touring, and that's why we did it. We loved performing for people. That was the main thing, even more than the records and everything. We love to play.
Yeah. No regret. I'm so glad I dropped out of university and hit the road with a punk rock band. Because guess what? University was still there when I finished with the punk rock band. So
yeah, there's like, it's a rarefied air. Bands that influenced Rise Against, Metallica, Sepultura, Foo Fighters, and Biff Naked. I feel like there's like not a lot of artists that can say that.
Yeah, well, that feels good.
Yeah. Well, anytime you guys want to wax poetic about the past, the present, or the future, you're both always welcome.
Okay. I want to meet you in person. I want to shake your hand, man. Give you a hug.